Welcome to episode 2 or possibly episode 3 of the podcast. I don't know because the last time, we talked about the origins of Aloha, the origin story,
Yeah.
as if you were a Marvel superhero.
Yeah, I went back to probably the day I was born, or it was
First,
a little
the
too
earth
far.
cooled. Then the dinosaurs came.
Right.
And then your
Yeah,
dad built a pool.
it was a little drawn out, but that's a thing. That's a trait I inherited from my father. He was a talker, and I would. So one night I was on the phone with him, and here I go.
Yeah. We're already into story time.
An hour, an hour and oh god, I can't remember how long I stayed on the phone with him. I was cleaning out the back of my truck. All is good, and he'll just get started. One time he was talking to my cousin Doris, and he just talked until he got hungry. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he said, "Well, it's time for lunch. I got to go."
Well,
And
today we're going to discuss some items from cost and prices and things, since that's one of the first things that people do when they're buying a pool or any big ticket item. They're concerned with how much is it? Can I afford it? What is that? And part of us, the podcast we explained, we're trying to be transparent. We're trying to show people and answer people's questions. So I wanted to talk about why are some companies cheap and why are some expensive, and maybe go into what drives prices in the first place.
Okay.
So, I don't know how we want to start that, other than I know we did a walk around the other day in the warehouse, and we were looking at, and we talked about, we keep saying, and I think as a consumer, I'm not always cognizant of the idea that next year prices are going to increase.
Right.
And why can't you stop it? Brad Cook, you own the thing. Can't you stop increasing the prices?
Thank you.
Why do you want all my money?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and I wish I could. I mean, and in some ways, you kind of don't necessarily want it to, because typically that's some sort of economic indicator that we're going backwards as an economy. And so going a little, paying a little bit more as an annual regimen is probably overall good for the economy, even though you can't see it on the short side necessarily. And I certainly don't like it. I don't think I like it as any more than anyone. However, you kind of got to adjust when being adjusted. So that's one of the price indicators, or one of the things that drives prices up. But there's that subject is a lot to unpack, and we went an hour and a half the last podcast, so you're going to have to rein me in a little bit, because I could probably talk on this for a long time.
Sure, I will probably interrupt you a few times with questions,
Right?
Because I'm going to put myself in your seat, in the seat of a consumer, because I'm new to Aloha. So what I want to do, and when I say your seat, for those of you listening, I pointed at the camera to you. I want to be you, so that I can ask Brad the questions about this, if pertinent, if I feel like anything comes up. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's some basic 3 or 4 basic things that you have involved with the cost of an item. There's the goods itself, the materials itself, and then there's the labor, and then there's a cost of I guess just of being in business and being around whenever there's a need that arises. It's almost like a cost of a warranty if you think about it like that. And there's some convenience and factors that go along with that. We like to think of ourselves as, if you're shopping for a pool of any type, what pays for our stores and our display parks, when people look at it, they think, well, I tell you why their prices are high is because they've got all these these display parts and the store sizes that these other people don't have. But what they don't realize is that we've got several revenue streams that actually pays for our overhead. So that's really not a cost indicator or a cost driver at all. And there's a benefit to that they have a place that they can call, and we're invested in this business. We're not driving around in a we might disappear. We're we're in it for the long run. So,
yeah, it's kind of like when you always see the fly by night hail people is what they say. Like anytime there used to be a hailstorm in South Dakota where I used to live, you'd have all these hail companies come in out of nowhere.
Roofing companies and things like that.
Or roofing companies, things like that.
Right.
Roofing, hail, dent repair, paintless dent repair, all those people. And the ones that you would want to go with were the folks that set up a shop there, that had investment in the local community, investment in your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes that you're kind of forced to go with a cheaper route, and there's very few things in my life that I've ever paid for, and I'm guilty of learning that lesson so many times. Like English, you learn English, same English every year in high school, and you forget it or whatever. I learned the lesson of going something cheaper. I'm finally kind of figured that out, that because you always end up paying for it.
Right.
In the long run, some way, somehow.
Well, you've heard the boot analogy that
I don't know.
The man who's poor ends up spending, and I don't remember the exact number, but $50 for a pair of boots. And then the guy that spends $500 for a pair of boots, the rich guy who's able to buy the boots once, and then those boots last forever, and he might have to resole them and kind of take care of them and that kind of thing. But they last him 10 years, whereas the poor guy, it's expensive to buy cheaper,
right?
Because when you buy cheaper, you get a different level of quality,
right?
That guy ends up buying 23 pairs of boots, every 6 months because he's wearing them out, and he ends up spending more than the initial.
That's one of the scenarios. That's for sure.
So we were talking about the why are some cheap, why are expensive, the costs that go into things, and you were talking about just the cost of doing business. You said there were several things like the cost of labor, the cost of goods, and that. What drives the price increase every year? Seems to me like the one that comes to mind right away is obviously the tariffs and the cost of everything going up. So if you want to address that.
Yeah, for one thing, this year, that every time that we go to either a trade show or a buying group meeting, we're always hearing that with this, you can buy this pre-tariff, or you're going to, here's your pre-tariff price and here's your post-tariff price. We've got some people that are actually invoicing. I think it's our spa manufacturer that's invoicing for the spa, and then and there's a line item for the tariff charge. So and
that just basically means something that's in stock that's already come over and wouldn't be affected by the tariffs. Basically.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and so this is going to date this podcast, but our New Year's clearance is when we walked around the other day has had a lot to do with everything that we have in stock. I'm able to do the pre-tariff, pre-price increase on the goods that we have in stock, and then it's basically 7% for us for over last year is what the number we're kind of forced to.
So now that we're in the
take
2026, hopefully everyone that's listening to this already took advantage of the New Year's sale.
But but actually prices had softened in 23 and 24, and we didn't really see anything. So it hasn't been like that jump so much. It kind of softened from the pandemic, and now it's kind of easing its way back up. Part of that's because we kind of held off, and but this year it's kind of been coming at us to the point to where we have little choice but to make some moves. So that's one thing that will have an effect on price. And when my dad started building pools, there were some things that he would do when he would dig the pool to where he didn't have to use as much concrete. There is so if you can cut 30% of your concrete costs, that's that is one number, and it's not a lot, but it adds up. And if you kind of take that mindset throughout the build process, one of the things that we used to do, and we did it for 50-something years. The pools are fine. I don't know that anybody knows the difference, but material costs like gravel, rock, to backfill the pool with. We've got to where we backfill all our pools with rock now, and we put a drainage system in there that allows us to pretty much guarantee the pool not to float for, I think we do a 5-year full warranty on it, nothing. That where the customer has to pay absolutely nothing if the liner floats as a result of water getting around the liner. So that's the thing that adds.
Yeah, explain that a little bit, just for when you say the liner floats. You mean water getting up under it, or
right, and so a liner is held in place by the gravitational weight of the water that's in the liner, and then as water gets behind the liner, it can neutralize that the weight of the gravitational weight on the kind of now is there's no weight almost because it's all water in water, and so the liner can float a little bit, and so and then as time goes by, that water on the outside will soak into the ground, and then the liner will sit down, and sometimes it'll have wrinkles in it, things like that. So, but back to material costs, that's one thing. Then you put in different types of piping systems inside that. We just sold a pool in a local area, and we sold it on a new house, and the builder called us, and he said, and he pretty much sold the pool for us because he said we built a pool for him and some of his friends a few years ago, and he said, no, I wanted y'all. And he was focused on our plumbing, how much plumbing we put on our pools. It's kind of customizable, and we do it not because we have more plumbing, but we do it because there's certain ways that you can valve the water coming back into the pool that makes the pool operate better. And you have options instead of just water coming from the pool through a filter and back to a pool is fine.
Right.
But to make it better, you might take a little bit more plumbing. So that's one of the ways we do it. And then the valves that you buy, the valves that you buy can be they can be $2 valves, or they can be $50 valves, and we skew to the higher price of the valve just because of the longevity. You ever seen one of those red handle valves or the blue handle valves that you glue there and you go and turn it,
right?
And just like, and for one, it's really hard to operate, and two or 3 years down the road, that red handle snaps, and you don't have a valve anymore. You've got an expensive coupling. So we kind of stay away from that type of product. Hopefully, to give a little bit of better life of service before anything like that needs to be changed. That's just one little nitpicky thing. And when you think of the mixture of concrete that you use on your patio, when you think of the reinforcement that you use in your concrete. There's just a lot of little things that just add up.
Like the gold rebar that you have in your pool.
Well, I mean, sometimes when I look at invoices, I wonder if they at least claim there's gold in it. But the reinforcement bar, and and in some municipalities, in some areas, I'll pick on St. Louis. I love the opportunity that St. Louis has presented me, and when you go there, you have to have an inspection for, I think they like to inspect the grass first. You got to have a pre-build inspection, a post-dig inspection, a pre-footer inspection, which is probably the same thing. I'm a little hyperbole here, but you have to have a lot of inspections, and you have to work in between the inspections. So you have to mobilize, and you have to come home, then you get an inspection out there. That drives the price up. That's so tackling what drives the price up. It depends from pool builder to pool builder, then area to area. So there's a lot to unpack. But that's some of the things.
Cheaper. You might be able to build the same pool a lot cheaper, say in the backyard in Martin, Tennessee, as compared to in the suburbs of St. Louis.
100%. Yeah. Same pool is a considerable amount of difference.
You mentioned St. Louis is very dense, and trying to get into certain neighborhoods might inhibit a cheaper, as compared to farmland or wide open where.
And to your point, that's another thing that would drive price up. If we have a pool, if we have a yard that's sloping, and it's on 2 acres or an acre, and you have a big open backyard, and we can get all the way around the pool, we can build that pool in a fraction of the amount of time that we can in a yard where the pool fills up the yard all the way to the house and to the pool. Let's just say A lot of our pools come with 4 feet of concrete on the sides. Well, if we've got the width of the pool and the width of 4 concrete all the way around the pool, it's 10 times, well, it's a lot more difficult to build a pool in that yard, so that drives the price up. On the other side of it, it's back to that open yard with a slope where we can get all of our materials all the way back there and deliver it, and we don't have to haul any dirt off. That's a big price difference there as well. Or in some cases, if the slope is too much and we've got to haul dirt in, that's an issue.
And you got to fill in with dirt.
Yeah. And there's also the issue is that it slopes a lot, and you've got to dig down, what we call shelving down. So we dig down and create a shelf, and then we dig the pool on that shelf. So there requires a retainer wall. And a retainer wall could be, I've even seen jobs where the retainer wall is on the high side, on the house side of the pool, and then there's an apron wall on the low side of the pool. And
when I first started here, I didn't really realize on the in-ground pool about the wall as much as, I always just in my mind assumed that you go in and you dig a big hole and then you throw a liner in it.
Right.
And I didn't even realize that there was wall.
Oh, right. Well, and I'm talking about a retainer wall.
Right.
Yeah.
So different.
Dig down in your shelf, and then you build a retainer wall.
A retainer wall on the shelf.
That's right.
Before you put the pool.
Or an apron wall. I use my hands here, and here's the retainer wall, and here's the pool, and then here's the apron wall.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So that might account for 8 feet of elevation difference.
Right.
So that's
missed the word retainer.
That's a thing. Yeah. That's a thing that can drive prices up too.
Okay.
Yeah. So you think it's side by side, pool to pool. You can. There's trying to think of, you got your materials and your labor, and that's about it. You got to have a little.
So that's why when you look at the price estimator on the website, for instance, it's not an exact price.
No, it's a range, and we can build. 18 by 36, historically speaking, is our best-selling pool. So we'll just pick on 18 by 36. We can build an 18 by 36, and we actually have gotten a price. We've got the price like as others do, and somewhat like we used to do. That's limited in the distance from the filter system. We can limit how far the filter system stays from the pool, and save money. That save time, which is money. Save materials and piping and digging ditches and filling back in, which is all money, and then backfill with dirt, which saves money because the dirt's already on the job. There's a lot of ways to save money, and we're proud to show the price and even build the pool on the way we used to do it, and then we have a preferred way, which is more money, and it gives you a better warranty, and I think it makes a lot of people feel better about what they get. There's always been a thing that drives me crazy when somebody says, well, you know what you should do? You should dig the pool, and then you should fill it with rock, and then you should have it up with rock all the way out, and then you lace and that's great. But if there's a certain extent to where the diminishing returns comes in, where you're sitting around, at the end of the pool, and you're all sitting around your yard, and you're looking at that beautiful thing. You're looking, in your mind, are you thinking, there's a lot of rock under there. That's really nice. Would you remember that rock? Boy, that's beautiful. And the people who don't have as much materials and all that, I feel like they're seeing the same thing. So you gotta kind of you strike a balance between you're building this piece of architecture that you never live to see the benefit. I don't know that anybody will ever live to see the benefit of it, versus finding that happy spot where you don't have any issues down the road. You don't have any warranty issues that should be warranty or is questionable, and you got a great place for your family, and the extra money that you would have spent building this architectural monument is spent somewhere else in the household.
So the idea that we've kind of adopted is trying to build the best pool without building something that's just spending money to spend money.
Yeah.
Building something that's going to last a long time and be the best quality.
Yeah.
But it keeping in mind the diminishing returns.
Yeah. Well, and keeping in mind our reputation's on the line, and we've got to back this.
Right.
And so we're not going to cut corners in order to do that. We're going to do what we think is right. And
so we don't want to go too cheap. Yeah.
We're not going to do it too cheap. And even though we may price something that's in that cheaper realm, we're going to show people exactly the difference in what they're getting. And some people, we've even done some this year where they went with the cheaper route, and I think they're going to be just fine. And a lot of what we did on the pools that we did like that were like my dad did in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and like we did some in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, it's like some people are still doing, and the pools are fine. And we think ours. I don't know that this. I'm not trying to sell pools right here, so I got to be careful when I go to beat my chest or anything. But I think it's. I wake up in the morning and I live, sleep, eat, drink, and breathe this business. And my mind goes and swim. To swim this business, yeah, that sounds like I feel like I'm drowning sometimes. To be the best that I can be and deliver the best product and the best service. So there's the advertisement. This podcast brought to you by AlohaPoolsUSA.com.
So
sorry about that.
We've talked about the different things that affect the price. What we just kind of glossed over labor, but one thing I've noticed, it seems as though I used to own a business and I had folks that would come and build stuff for me, and pre-COVID, my guys were getting paid about $11 an hour at that time in that area, which was about normal for that area. Right shortly after COVID, something happened to the labor market, and I was paying between $16 and $20 an hour.
Yeah,
immediately.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming that happened across the United States, where everybody and that's inflation and everything, and it just kind of all big wave of. Yeah,
and you'd have to think we're somewhere in between California and Mississippi,
right?
And there's going to be a difference that what they were doing was going to be higher, and then what we were doing is going to be less, but maybe not as low as other parts of the world. But that's obviously, but I don't think we're any different than any trade or any profession that took a hit too. But it is a labor thing, and for us. We feel like we are well above the average. In fact, one of our insurance companies told us that at one time, 4 years ago or so, your average $60,000, your average person makes $60,000 a year or something like that. I don't know, and I don't know what they were basing it off of. Obviously, it wasn't part-time people, and I don't know that. I'm not going to say that is the exact number, but they said that in a way like that. They know some people that might want to come to work here. So, and I think the point of all that is we're not sending out people who aren't qualified to do the work, and we have people that are. In fact, some of them, if we get a bad review, we will have. They will say the crew was nice, but the communication was bad, or something else was the salesperson, or something like that, and the quality of the work. And a lot of times they'll say, I love my pool. The quality of the work is great. So it turns out that we feel like we're doing the right thing by keeping good people,
by paying better to get that.
The most important thing about the whole process is the structure of the pool. If we miss a phone call or something like that, when you're swimming in your pool, I would rather have a good pool than somebody catching that phone every single time in that perfection. So that's one of. But back to the prices, that's one of the things I think that drives price for sure.
How much is the consumer? So you take economics 101 in college, and we all find out that the business doesn't set the price; the consumer sets the price. How much does the cost of the average pool in our region weigh in on the cost of, is it cheaper region wise? I know there's taxes that go into account in certain areas. I'm sure Illinois has a different tax structure than Tennessee, than Kentucky, than all of it.
Yeah, I'm sure that I'm sure that it does. And when you see us expand, we don't typically expand. We don't find ourselves expanding in places where there's not a need, or there's the market is such that we can't go up there or down there or wherever and it sustain itself. So yes, there is some prices, or there are some things that drive the number. However, what we have to look at as a business is just what's it going to take to get up there and get the job done right, or out there and get the job done right, and feel like we're not spinning our wheels from a profit standpoint.
Right.
So that is not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily, taxes and things like that doesn't necessarily dictate how we price our pools, but it may dictate how others price their pools. And so if we enter a market with our price and it's too high, and then somebody else offers us, a service that's similar to ours, then there's a good chance that they get that job, and then we lose interest in that market. And the same, on the opposite side of that is if we enter a market that we find ourselves competitive at, and we feel like that we can service the job after it's done, then we look seriously at that market for expansion.
There you go. So, and we touched on why, what drives the prices. Why, we want to talk about why are some companies cheap and some are expensive. What do you think drives that? Why are there some folks out there that are cheaper than us? Is it do you just feel like they're maybe cutting corners, or is it something that what are they doing that we're not?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair for me to say exactly what they're doing.
Not to put you on the spot.
No, it's fine. I'm just trying to process why might somebody be cheaper, and me say it in a way that's not
combative with them.
Yeah, negative to what might be a competitor. But I will say, I guess I could say it. Maybe I can contrast what we do, and say what we don't, or what others might not be able to do.
Without spelling out, I think everyone in any business understands that you have the folks out there, that there are, like we would mention earlier, some fly-by-night folks, or some people that are not necessarily invested in the community, right, or as much. So I would assume that there's probably in the pool business still some folks out there that are less than reputable, that that, without naming names, things that maybe they would do that the consumer should look out for.
Yeah.
And in the same vein, that's why we price ourselves a little bit more, because we're looking at trying to.
Well, we are.
And I think that's a fair comparison.
I would think that. I think that you'll find that any reputable company that offers a similar service to us we're going to be close in the price range. And then what you might find is that guys that has a cousin that can do it or whatever, and that's as a part-time deal, and then you can get a pool cheaper. Right. And I think we've lost pools to people who would prefer to buy from us and prefer to have that, but they're just not they're not in a money situation to be able to do that. Right. Because what we obligate ourselves to do when we build a pool for somebody is we to answer the phone, and if something goes wrong, and to take care of it if something goes wrong, and in that process, try to do it in a way to where we take care of the customer and make it convenient on them.
Yeah.
Because to just give you an idea, if you're a customer and you call or text our service line, what happens is let's just say you call the service line. When we answer the phone, pops up on the screen who you are, your total history, everything, every conversation is recorded, every text is recorded for the life of your pool. We started this in 22, maybe 21 or 22. So if we've got 4-year-old customers, we can see every single thing that happened to the pool. Within 2024, we added the entire build process to the database inside our service software. And what that does is, in my opinion, gives an absolute superior finished product or finished service after the sale. And I could go into some awards that we won, but let's stay on let's stay on track. If you can keep me on track, that is. So the software costs money, and the infrastructure of people on the line waiting to answer and get you in line to put your pool to bed and open your pool, and out of that, when you start looking at all you get from us, we feel like we're the cheapest. And
Right.
I think if you look at deep into our warranty, that you have one thing goes wrong, we're cheaper. If you have two things go wrong, we're a lot cheaper. And it just keeps on, from the energy usage over time,
Right.
or warranty things. You buy a liner from us or a pump for us that's out of warranty, that's little questionable. Just lots of things we do on the back side of it is not figured into the price of the pool, but it's good. It's good customer service.
So I guess before we wrap up, one of the things that I'd be real interested in finding out from just your perspective, when you're buying a pool, what are some of the things that you should be aware of that a company might skim on, like that, or what are some things you should look out for that if I'm buying a pool and a company might go, you don't need that next level of this, I can get you this for cheaper here, or what are there any certain aspects through the whole process that I should look out for?
Well, I'll say this, that we've gone to several backyards, and especially we just entered the St. Louis market. It's extremely common up there, where people started a pool, they got that money down, and then it disappeared. And sometimes, to keep from being sued, they'll come and they'll do a little something. And I was at a customer's house one day, and they said, the guy said it was raining, so he was going to put a cover on the pool to keep it from raining. And he had he went and bought just a little tarp that didn't cover a portion of the pool. And it was the most absurd thing ever. But he'd given 50% down. So first thing I would say is, don't pay money don't pay too much money down. And just to give you some parameters, if you've got cash and you're going to pay cash, we will do, we'll take a pool deal for 5 to 10% down. We're adjust on that. If somebody says, well, I don't want to give 10% down, we're fine with that. What we might do is negotiate some of the purchases that we have to make. See, we stock. We got a yard full of stuff. You were out there the other day. We got a yard full of stuff that we have in stock. So we don't have as many components that we have to buy. So you're always sitting on a safe side with us. And there, I'm not trying to, here I go pitching us, but I'm thinking, if I was going to recommend something, is don't pay too much money down. Like if somebody doesn't have the credit from a supplier, even doesn't have the credit from a supplier, I think you have to ask yourself, is this a safe bet? Yeah. That's one thing I'd watch out for. And I know I'm setting myself up for say, well, come to us because we have insurance. But I mean, if you don't have a contractor's license, you don't have insurance, you're exposing yourself. I'm not going to say that would keep you. I'm not going to necessarily say that would keep somebody that you should not buy a pool from somebody that doesn't have a contractor's license or insurance. It's just there's that exposure. There's people out there that just that can know how to build a pool, and they do it without the contractor's license and insurance. That's not a big deal. Knowing what I've seen, I couldn't recommend it. And knowing what we've done to position ourselves as the leader in the business, kind of pride myself on that. We don't have to use insurance much.
Yeah.
I would look at. I hate to go this route right here, but I would try to find out how many lawsuits if they've been in, if there's any, and the outcome of that. I'd look for reviews. I would think if there's somebody that builds pools for a living, and they haven't figured out that a website helps people and that can be reviewed. If they don't have a reviewable website, then I would question, what are they going to be doing next year, or what is their long-term plan?
Right. So if just looking at a big ticket purchase like this, an online presence, having some stability as a company, seeing that they're licensed and insured, seeing that they're a legitimate business and not just some guy that owns a backhoe and
You built websites. You can rent a backhoe.
Right.
I mean, have you built websites? If somebody said, I just want the basic thing so people can review me, how much would you charge? $500? $1,000?
Right. I
don't know.
That a lot of times what happens is a person will come and say, what's your budget for it, and then build it based off that.
Right.
So, but
something cheap just so you can get
like
on
a $500 website,
reviewed.
something that you just have a landing page. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that? If you really care about your craft and what you do, why would you just put a website up so you can be reviewed?
Right.
Pretty simple. What you hiding?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Way.
Yeah,
I don't
makes sense.
go that way, but I mean, a lot of people do that these days. Cindy and I will go to a restaurant. She's going to look at the reviews the most, and there's an average. I mean, you got to. I don't know. Do you do that? Look at the reviews and just say like the highest number of reviews and the highest rating. And I forget exactly. I've gone to a restaurant with lower reviews, but it's because the rating is higher.
Right.
But if you go to the one that's got the most reviews and the highest rating,
I'm the guy that goes.
Seems pretty safe.
I go directly to the lowest review. I want to read the 1 stars, and I want to see. I like to see what happened, and then one of the things that I even before working here, I like to see when someone responds.
Right.
When the company says, the guy's like, the fish was terrible or whatever, and then the boss is like, or the manager comes on and types back, sure, if you would have just told your waitress, we would have gladly, if you come back in, let me know, and we're going to comp your meal or something like that.
Right.
And so you see that the owner or someone who was involved in that process to make it better, and then I think that almost makes that 1-star review a positive review because that person running the business cares enough to respond.
Well, that's the way we look at it too. Yeah. So you get that. You get that when you have when you have a website to be reviewed, and that's something that that guy could have said, well, you don't know fish. And then you think, okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, then you know who you're dealing with. Then you know that it's a
right. And that and I was looking through our reviews. We've got our Christmas party tonight, and I was going to just brag on everybody for being. Oh gosh, I'm going to brag. I mean, I'm going to say something that's driving the price that doesn't have anything to do with price. We got over 22. We have 22 and 11 as of this day. 2,211 5-star reviews out of 2,400, 4.8 reviews. But so I was gonna brag on that. But also so I went and counted the 1-star reviews. It's the first time I'd been there in a while. But some of them that, especially the more recent ones, when I've been kind of keyed in on it, I saw one that said where I said, "Well, I don't blame you. If I was treated that way, I'd do the same thing." And I don't remember the name of the people, but most of those people, I'd like to be able to go to and say, "Hey, we took care of that, right?" Yeah, and do you still feel that way, that 1-star? Because I hope if you look at our 1-stars that you'll find that we take them seriously and try to take care of the customer when that happens.
Good to go. So and that kind of, again, we've gotten a little off.
Yeah,
we've driven down a whole new road here. Maybe.
Now you know what? I'm gonna blame you on that when you said
it's my fault. It's my fault. I wanted to look for stuff, but that's fair enough because I thought in the whole cost, a lot of times, you'll think, well, I know this is a big purchase, and I don't want to spend $100,000 on my pool. If I could spend $5,000 to get a pool, why not? But there's a reason why you don't want to spend $5,000 on an in-ground pool, because you get some crazy guy out there with a shovel and your cousin that can say, "Oh, I can build a pool. I'll do it for a 12-pack of beer," and
Well, you can buy a pool for $12,000. You won't get a pool, but you can buy one for that.
A swimming hole is what you're getting.
You might get that. That's for sure. But there's a whole lot to do with reviews and that, and like you said, that 1 star I think is an opportunity as well, because I had that happen the other day with a 1 star review, and the guy since pulled it down, but he said these companies they get your money. They're nice at first, and they just cheat and cut and all. And I said, you know what? I just don't think on the review I don't think that's fair. But he had an alias. I couldn't help it, man. I called him by his first name. I mean, this is big boy land here. Don't hide behind a alias. And we had, and I said at the end, regardless, I'm going to take care of you if you call me. Here's my phone number again. And
just for that, just to prove that, what's your phone number? What's your cell phone number?
Are you kidding? It's everywhere. You don't know, don't you? It's in your phone.
I know, man. It's in my phone.
My number.
For the benefit of the folks listening.
Hold on, I'm looking at the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which way should I start?
Put it right.
731-431-8199. You'll put that on the screen, right?
Yeah, I'll do that later.
Of course. Yeah, by all means.
I got nothing but time to do that.
Yeah.
We're just sitting around.
Hey, this guy's been here for about 2 months, and he and I are would you say kindred spirits?
I'd say in a lot of ways.
Passionate about marketing and passionate about customer service, and he's going to help us to get our mission out there, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, so I'm overloading you.
This is not a me time. I'll cut all this out.
Yeah. I got you.
So. Thanks for joining us for episode 2 or 3. We haven't decided. The first one was long. And again, hopefully you got something beneficial out of this. You got a chance to see what drives prices. We talked about why are some companies cheap, why are some expensive. We talked about things that you should look out for and keep in mind if you're buying a pool. And again, if you have questions that you have, if you have things that you want to know involving pool industry, spas, hot tubs, all of that stuff, I know you have questions because we see the FAQs out there all the time. Either comment below, email us, carrier pigeon, whatever it is, to get us a message. We're going to do a show on that. We will answer those questions. The whole purpose of this podcast, like we said earlier, was transparency, education, and we want to be the best pool company that there is, period. And we think that doing that is service to you and answering your questions and all of that. So,
amen. Yeah, and I meant to say we need to get in the habit of saying that. Like, comment below. Yeah. Because I said that in the first video.
Subscribe and comment. All that.
Like, subscribe, and Lord, I got to
send us money.
I got to figure that out.
No,
right.
Just kidding.
Comment below. Because what I was said on the last video, and I can't speak this enough. I bought my RV based on the comments below in a YouTube video.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even if they're negative,
super helpful.
Hey, that guy, he's terrible. Whatever. I'm open to it.
Criticism. Probably going to get that.
I know. I will. All right. Thanks, and I guess have a swim-tastic day. We'll figure out a tagline going out as we go on this.
Aloha. Yeah. Come on in. The water's fine. We talked about that. Yeah. Anyway,
we'll see you later. The water's fine.
That's it.